going to outline to you three essential aspects of interviewing where there has been a relational trauma within the family. And the very first essential in our model will be the idea of respecting the integrity of the family whilst also holding the persons accountable for the misuse of power and control. And the notion of respecting the integrity of the family over time is a very important one, because the presentation of any families for help after the occurrence of incest or domestic violence is that the accompanying emotion is very often of shame. And as we clinicians well understand, shame operates as a brake in terms of being able to enter into a therapeutic conversation. You try to hide the feelings that are shameful rather than go towards them. So when we think of the integrity of the family, we're thinking about the aspects of the family in which they hold pride about themselves and about the family structure. And we very particularly interview to understand that and the integrity of the family over time, so that room can be made for these more shameful stories. And it has been our experience that that is a very useful way of thinking and opening up the space for the therapeutic relationships to develop. A second essential in practice is the notion of complexity. What we came to understand as a result of our work with children who had been sexually abused within the family or subjected to family violence, witnessing domestic violence, is that they have very complex relationships to the persons who've harmed them. And unless we make room for the complexity of their experience, we risk their not being able to say it. In other words, I can love the brother who also hurt me. I can enjoy being with my grandfather and love his sense of humor, and also be very angry at the fact that he treated me in the way that he did. And with that level of coming to terms with the fact that these relationships are not with strangers, they're with people who have often had affection and experiences of love and safety, as well as then violation. And if the experience of the positive feelings towards the person who perpetrated abuse are not given space to be talked about, they can often remain within the child in this rather shameful place of feeling like, I shouldn't love the person who harmed me in this way. And if you give them permission to talk about the complexity of their attachment, they then can understand that they can do both. They can love and they can have strong feelings about the bad things that happened to them. A third aspect of the essentials for working with families where relational traumas have occurred is the idea of helping explore the ways in which the child has made sense of what occurred. Because it's been our experience that many children blame themselves for the experience of abuse at some level, that they feel that they may have dressed inappropriately or been seductive or something really benign in terms of acting older than they are. And we want a child at the end of a therapy with us to have a very clear moral understanding of what was within their control and what was not within their control. And that even though they may blame themselves, that in fact the person who perpetrated the abuse is entirely responsible. And in that way, we feel that they have the opportunity to repair a healthy sense of self. That if they go forward thinking that in some way they brought this upon themselves, that they're at risk of not feeling entirely secure going forward and vulnerable in some way to perhaps setting the stage for an unhealthy relationship, and not one where they're really clear about where responsibility lies.
Los tres aspectos que yo voy a destacar de nuestro trabajo de atención en casos de trauma de relación son Por un lado, la seguridad, la construcción de seguridad en el contexto de atención, en el contexto terapéutico. Por otro lado, quiero señalar la importancia que le damos al trabajo sobre la gestión emocional, sobre las dificultades de gestión emocional de las personas que trabajamos y que tienen esta situación de trauma relacional. En tercer lugar, señalaré como algo que nos interesa muchísimo, que es el concepto de resiliencia. Respecto al primer aspecto, es muy importante la seguridad. Intentamos trabajar con una gran delicadeza la construcción de seguridad, porque es lo que se ha quebrado en el contexto del trauma relacional. Es la ruptura fundamental, la carencia o la ruptura traumática de una base segura, de la base de la confianza. La seguridad es fundamental para crear conexión emocional. El que el contexto sea una base segura, el contexto de tratamiento genera la posibilidad de una conexión emocional, de hacer que la persona a la que atendemos se sienta emocionalmente entendido, y a partir de esa validación de su experiencia subjetiva, de su sufrimiento, empezamos a trabajar la posibilidad de generar cambios, de generar adaptaciones, etc. La segunda cuestión importante para nosotros es la gestión emocional. Casi todo el trabajo lo enfocamos en romper ese círculo vicioso, círculo negativo de la gestión emocional. ¿Y qué es lo que hacemos? Básicamente intentamos que la gestión emocional suponga aprender la tristeza, aprender la melancolía, aprender la decepción, aprender a gestionar de otra manera la ira, aprender a desbloquear esas tuberías que de alguna manera permiten expresar emociones que están contenidas por el episodio traumático. Ahí hay un trabajo importante con el cuerpo, con los sentidos, con la memoria. Y esta gestión emocional realmente, cuando trabajamos con preadolescentes y adolescentes, está muy relacionada con la construcción de su identidad. A veces ya trabajamos con personas que tienen una identidad negativa, un concepto negativo de sí mismos, una baja autoestima, que su zona de confort se ha establecido en aspectos negativos. Intentamos con la gestión emocional empezar a transformar la identidad. Y voy a señalar un tercer elemento al que le voy a dar muchísima importancia y va a ser un poco el foco del encuentro que vamos a tener con Fiona de este curso en Madrid, que es la resiliencia. Estamos haciendo todo lo posible por aprender de casos de gran resiliencia, de personas que estamos atendiendo y que a su vez nos están enseñando la superación, la capacidad de superación, cómo sobrellevar las adversidades. Estamos viendo qué experiencias han creado, qué ayudas han tenido, y la resiliencia nos va a permitir, o intentamos que nos permita, convertirnos a los profesionales, psicólogos, terapeutas, educadores, toda la gente que trabaja en la rehabilitación del trauma relacional, en ser lo que podríamos llamar facilitadores de resiliencia.